This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where tech meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
Go ahead and start the intro. So thank you so much for joining us here on Think Future. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. Today, we have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your organization, what you're passionate about.
Hello, my name is Richard Kersey. I am the founder of Chirpper.com. We are a alternative social network based on only humans joining. And I'm passionate about building it, and it's been a fun experiment so far. I'm looking to see how far we can take it.
So how do you make it so it's only humans joining? I mean, what's your criteria? How do you filter out the bots?
So that comes from your lineage, what we call a trust chain, meaning I'm a human, and anyone that I bring to this social network, I'm vouching for that they are also human. So I invite someone. We're not saying the machine is saying they're human. We're not saying pass this test to prove you're human. We're saying this person says this person is human. And if you are wrong, and at some point, then I'm staking my reputation on that invite that I sent.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how it works. I mean, is it an app or is it a web app or both?
Right now, for today, it's a web app. So it's just a web app. Chirpper.com, CHIRPPER.com. But of course, we do have plans to expand into a mobile app, of course.
Right. So tell me about the process a bit. So I'm not a member. I'm not a Chirpper member. I do not have an account on Chirpper. Do I have to contact somebody and say, "Hey, can you get me an account on Chirpper?" Or is that how I would get in? Like I would have to know you or somebody who's already on there. It's like an invitation only social network.
Invitation only, but for this cold start, which is what you're talking about, kind of a cold start. I have nobody I know who's already there. We have, if you just go to chirpper.com and you come to the site and you're going to click a button which says I'm human, I want in, that takes you to a chat window, which at that point you're actually talking to me and I'm kind of just saying hi, and then I'm trusting that you're a human. And
I like that.
So I basically what happens at that point is I vouch for you and you become part of my trust chain.
See, that's really interesting, but it obviously doesn't scale because that's what you do with startups, right? You start off with something that doesn't scale, and then you figure out how to scale it later. So have you figured out how to scale it?
Well, we do expect at some point that it's going to be invite only. So it's going to be, the people that I trust as my zero level, like the people who have no invites prior, the people who are just zero level invites, we call them Genesis tokens, which comes from Bitcoin, where they have a nickel token. And so once we have some, I think we've limited it to 500 Genesis tokens is what we're going to allow. And once those 500 tokens are in, then they get to invite, and we expect the trust chain to be able to propagate on its own from there.
So I can invite, once I'm in, then I can invite other people. But I just vouch for them somehow. So do I send them a link saying I know this guy is real, and or do they also have to go through some type of process to confirm that they're real?
It's just simply like exactly what you said. Once you're in, you get an invite. You get one to start. Yeah, that's your invite. You can start sending them out immediately to someone new. But then you also earn invites as you contribute, and we get kind of a trust score going for you. Like you've contributed to the network, you've added posts, comments, upvotes, downvotes. You've done some contribution to kind of lend more trust to the fact that you're human. Then you get additional invites and you get to add to the network from there.
So is there some kind of score that totals up, kind of like Reddit karma, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a good comparison. It's but we base it not on just on what other people say about you. So it's not just your karma that you're upvote, downvote. It's also you're getting karma from, I say karma, but you're getting trust score from making posts, sending out invites, adding people to your network. That they also, actually, that's the most important part, and totally forgetting it, is that their trust also propagates up to you. So as they do things, your trust goes up as well. So if you invite people who contribute, you're also getting a trust score from that.
So it's a little bit like an MLM, but for trust. So anybody who comes up underneath you.
Well, but it also comes back negatively, and this is what other sites would never do. They
Right.
never want to punish their users, but we're saying we need to have you to have some stake in this game. So as you invite people, if they are not good actors, that also reflects on you. So it's not an MLM in the way where I can just throw out as many invites as possible and throw a shotgun out there and hit as many people as I can, and maybe that comes back as additional money and some kind of pyramid scheme, but it's not. It's not exactly like that.
Right. So what drove you to do this? I mean, what made you decide you wanted to try something like this?
Well, originally it was just me talking basically to myself, seeing about how we could have a social network where you didn't have to have any email accounts, you didn't have to have any kind of identity verification, and trying to figure out how something like that might work. And then I was like, I kind of just kept talking to myself through it, and let's send out invites. And then really it was that said, oh, that means that we can verify humanity. And it kind of like fed back into itself. Like we could do this and this, and things are just kind of falling out of the idea, which are pretty cool. So I kept building it. It's like, it's one of those things where once I started building it, it just kind of got more and more like passionate about it, because I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. So I just kept going and loving it.
That's cool. So how do you do it without email? I mean, how do you determine somebody is human without like MFA and that kind of authentication?
Like I said, it's just this human says that this person's human, and if they're wrong, then it's going to backfire on you and your trust later. So it's really just a network of humans vouching for other humans. I would compare it to like if you took a job offer or something and you had a recommendation from somebody, you take that to your next job. If you end up being a bad actor at this next job, well, they're not going to like recommendations from wherever that came from before.
Right.
So you lose your ability to get recommendations from this. Everybody loses ability to get recommendations from this company because they are sending people our way, right?
Interesting. So you just send a link and you use whatever method you want to send a link. You can SMS it to somebody or whatever,
Okay.
and then they click on it and it takes them to this page where what do you actually enter to determine that you're human?
No, that is the invite. You receiving the
That's
invite.
it. So this link is gold, right? So if I
Yes.
send this link to somebody,
Yes, exactly. And especially the Genesis tokens, like those are, you get this badge where you're a 0 level person and these are only 500 of them you're ever going to see. And these 500 people are going to be the only Genesis tokens we ever have. And, so there's, things like that, which we're trying to gamify and make cool things like that fall out of this idea. And, but yeah, it's just humans vouching for humans.
and what's the base level set of functionality that you have? Is it more like Facebook or Reddit, or is it a combination of the two? Like what do you get? Like when I sign up for Chirpper, what do I get?
Well, you get your profile, you get your trust chain. So you're going to see where you came from, and then you're going to see anywhere that you've started growing. So if you've sent out 2 or 3 invites and those have been accepted, you're going to see your chain of lineage, and how they're contributing to your trust. So you're going to see like, hey, this guy, Frank, has a trust score of 65, and that's helping me grow my trust score. I'm now up to 70. So you're going to see that lineage propagation. You're going to see if anyone's hurting you. So if you send out an invite and that person ended up being a bot and became a bot network, that's kind of the thing that falls out of this, is that we can rescind an invite and kill an entire bot network with one button push. If we've determined this account is spamming, is upvoting all the same thing over and over again, it's posting the same thing over and over again, it's only upvoting topics about this one company over and over again, we can, with a button push, kill a bot network. And we hope that makes it economically unviable to even have a bot network, because if you can be killed with one button push, you put all that work in, it just doesn't make economic sense for you to build that here.
But all that would probably come later on, because once you get to be sizable, right, that's when you really have to worry about bot networks and stuff like that just coming in, because just regular human beings talking to each other,
yes,
that's not going to be a big deal.
Right, of course.
So
no, there's always the network effect with any social media site. You have you have to get over that critical path, where the critical, what's the word I'm looking for? You probably know what I'm talking about. But
Well, it's like a tipping point or something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
exactly. The tipping point of
The
network.
network effects fall in place, and all of a sudden you grow virally.
Hmm.
That's
Exactly. So
interesting.
we're looking to get there, but it's a long path, and really we're trading a lot of growth factors for growing slowly. So it means we're probably never going to grow really quickly because we're trading things like being invite only. You can't just come sign up, go through and have 10 accounts for yourself. That's just not possible to do. So we're trading that exponential growth possibility for the quality of our network. And I've kind of, after thinking about this for a long time, we've kind of traded. What happens with most social networks is over time they get worse and worse and worse. And
Hmm.
we're taking that end goal of being a bad social network, we're moving that cost to the beginning. And we're
Right.
saying, put some friction up here. And now hopefully our network gets better over time instead of worse over time.
So, did you do this in response to how bad things are out there? And was it like a
Oh.
specific thing that triggered it for you, or
uh,
what made you think, yes, we need to create a completely new, completely different social network without all of the bots?
Well, I mean, you've probably seen it yourself in the comments and everybody thinking that social networks are filled with bots, that all
Yeah.
the comments are coming from bots, that there's political propaganda networks out there doing bot farms that are controlling our conversations. So you've seen it. There's a lot of people complaining about it. And whenever there's a big problem like that, you would think that there's some business that could fall out of it. And so
Right.
that's kind of where I'm seeing it. Like, this is a possibility because I see tons of people complaining. This is a fix.
Hmm.
Can we meet the two together? And now the question is, do humans really care about it? And that's what I'm trying to answer because you could complain. It could be a bunch of people complaining that don't really care. They just want content, content, content,
Yeah.
clickbait
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it could be that.
So
But
I'm assuming the reason why you named it Chirpper is because you're thinking about Twitter and how Twitter how Twitter turns into a dumpster fire.
well, I wish I could have been more original or something and just had some wild thing that worked. But I just it ended up working. I saw, oh wow, that's available. I'll take it. Yeah. So
Yeah. No, because I mean X is probably the worst offender when it comes to that because there's botnets all over the thing. I mean they regularly purge bots on a regular basis. There must be millions and millions of bots like just coming online all the time and then disappearing. And all it does is bring garbage in. Like it removes the human connection, and you have to do all of this finessing to actually talk to people. It's almost impossible to talk to people on something like that. You have to go somewhere else.
yeah, and that's what I see. That's the problem I see. And even though Twitter can charge you, to get that blue check mark, and you have to pay to get it, that even with the cost, it still makes economic sense to make a bot network. Still makes economic
Absolutely.
sense to do that. And so, does this kill that whole idea of not making economic sense? I would love to think it does, and hopefully we get to the point where we've proven it
Yeah.
does.
Well, you just want real people on there. I think that's it's a fantastic idea. But do you think it'll so you're going to grow it'll have to grow slowly because you're just talking about humans, right? You
Yeah.
can't have and then you think people will be happy with like the human only aspect of it? I'm assuming you can still post like if I wanted to I can post AI images and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be a bot. I could just post
Right,
things
right,
that were
right.
created. Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, there's our philosophy is that AI is a tool and that it's fine to use it to like make your grammar better, that you're learning from it, that you're making your videos better with it, whatever it is. But it's a tool as long as it's coming from a human in the end and someone saying, this is really my opinion, even though I used AI to help me structure it well, it's still my opinion. I've sent AI to write this for me. So we're
Yeah.
not we're not like anti-AI philosophy or anything like that. We just want to know that we're talking to a human and we don't care what bots say. I don't think anyone cares what bots think about left wing or right wing politics. We only care what humans think about it, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's
So speaking
yeah,
of
go ahead.
that, do you have group constructs and lists and things like that? Like what constructs are in it? Because I remember like original Twitter it was very simplistic. Do you have all the Facebooky type stuff in there as well, or is it more simplistic than that?
Well, the thing we have right now is called nests, which I would more compare it to like a subreddit. It's like a topic, where a category of posts might belong. So we have this thing called nests. We took the whole idea from the subreddit idea. Then we have follows, so you can be following a person. You can follow what they're posting about. So we kind of are in the flux of how much we're going to lean towards the Twitter way or the Reddit way, as far as content and how we're going to structure it and post it. But we'd like to get some people in and see what they think and try and build what they want to happen. So it's up in the air a little bit, but
So I'm assuming you have a feed just like all the others, right? So I mean, how is the feed generated? I mean, with very few users, it's easy to generate a feed because you just like here's who I'm following, here's the topics I'm following, etc. Have you got plans on where you think the algorithm is going to go eventually? Because that's the biggest complaint from everybody on every platform. The algorithm sucks, right?
Yeah, no, the way that we definitely have an idea, a plan for this. And one idea that fell out of this whole trust chain thing that got me another chance I got excited about was this thing called diversity score. So we could say, here's a trust chain, right? This is Frank, Joe, John, Mary, and they all kind of talk about the same things and they have the same ideas. Then we have another trust chain, another trust chain. Between all those trust chains, we could say, this topic right here is getting a lot of people from many different kinds of trust chains all over the place. And we could say, well, that's a highly diverse topic. And, a lot of different people are talking about it. And it's not an echo chamber. And that's another thing that we could kill with this idea is kill the echo chamber, because trust chains are lineages. Whereas in other sites, you're just having a whole bunch of people who we don't know where they came from, and everybody's piled on to upvoting this particular topic, and it kind of pushes itself up. We can say, no, we want to see diverse scores from many different trust chains, and that's what's going to show up at the top.
That's very cool because I think sometimes a lot of these other social media, all these social networks, they purposely create these echo chambers because they know that there's going to be a lot of. It's like
I know we're doing all the wrong things because
and if you're if you're like a leftist on X, I mean, it seems like the only people who see the leftist stuff are the right wing folks, and vice versa. I think the algorithm is is designed to create outrage and shows like one echo chamber to another, so they can all start arguing amongst themselves and get more views and more outrage. And I'm assuming you don't want to do something like that.
Well, it's another thing that we're trading growth for better ideas, and do those better ideas work? I mean, it seems to me, if I was to look at every other social network, clickbait works, rage bait works. If you want to argue, you want someone to argue against, so you're going to click on the things that you hate and you're going to argue there. So yeah, we're probably doing it wrong and it's never going to work, but I want to be
this is like a ray of sunshine. And the only other social network that I'm a fan of right now is Substack, right? Because Substack, their notes feature is actually in pretty good shape, and it hasn't fallen into the whole algorithmic. I mean, there's still bots on there. There's absolutely bots on there. There may not be as many because it's much easier to put bots on X, but there's still some bots on there, and it's not as bad. So I applaud anybody who's trying to do it in a better way, and I really like the way you've done it. So so you're gonna get to the point where I'm gonna have my Chirpper icon just like my Instagram icon, my Facebook icon on my profile page. Somebody clicks on that, what are they going to see? They're going to see my profile and they're going to say, "Oh, I want to join," but they can't join, right? They have to go through me, or they have to ask me to join, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we imagine them seeing is some kind of proof of humanity type of thing, where you're seeing your trust chain, your lineage of people and you're kind of seeing that idea. But then invites are supposed to be hard to get. They're supposed to be difficult and kind of selective because I'm vouching for you. I'm staking my trust on you. So we want it to be kind of difficult. And like I said, we're killing our growth metric in order to have a better network at the end. We're putting the friction at the beginning.
Yeah. And I'm one more question before we talk about the future. What about monetization? How are you planning to monetize?
I wish I knew.
It's okay. Twitter had the same when they first launched. They were like, "We have no idea how to monetize this thing," and eventually they figured it out. But you're in the same boat.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really see a path to any monetization, besides maybe there's ads and things like that at some point, but right now there's no plan for it. I have no idea how it could ever be done. What I really want to see at this point is this experiment of, do humans really care about bots, and do humans produce better content than bots do for humans to read? And that's the
Yeah,
question we have to answer first.
yeah, I'd agree with you there. So it's time to think like the future. It's this year 2036. Where do you see it in 10 years? Where do you want to be then?
I'd like to be at, let's see, 10 years. That's about how long it took Reddit to get to something like 10 million or maybe a billion users. I forget exactly, but if we were half of that, that would be great. And if we had our logo on some websites somewhere where, it was share this on Twitter or share this on Chirpper, that would be great if we had anyone that was doing that. That'd be amazing. And then if people really cared about humans and they used us as proof of humanity for their network, which would be great. So there's a few different ways it could go, and that's
Well,
what
I'll
I'm.
definitely promote you on my Substacks
Okay.
because
Beautiful.
this is a great idea. I had a similar thought myself when I was pushing back against the anonymity on the internet, because there's just so much anonymity. You don't know anyone. You don't know who's real and who's not real, right?
Right.
And the trust issue is completely different in real life than it is online, right? In real life, if you interact with somebody all the time, and you know what, you end up knowing what they're like, and then you start trusting them, right? But online there's no way to do that other than sort of repeated encounters where you get the same sort of result, and you think, oh, okay, now I can trust that person. So I was thinking there might be some way of coming up with an independent trust score that could be
Hmm.
assigned to a human,
Hmm.
and then you could use that trust score anywhere. So you put it on your eBay page, or you put it on your anytime you were selling something, you say, hey, look at my trust score is like 93 or something like that, which means I'm probably going to follow through with what I want. So do you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
see that trust score sort of leaving Chirper and going out on its own, or do you see
I
it
would.
like staying with Chirper?
I've envisioned it. I've seen that it's possible, but it's such a pie in the sky idea that it's like, maybe in 10 years, if all the chips fall right, the dice rolls 100 times in a row, then yeah, it might happen. But right now it's like cool. Cool. It'd be really cool if something like that happened, but I just don't, it's so far away that I can't be focused on that. I got to be focused on getting people in the door today and building up the network and, that kind of thing.
So it sounds like you're not looking at any kind of exit. Like, you don't want to be bought by somebody. You definitely want to continue to remain sort of like an independent entity and grow to Reddit size or half Reddit size, that sort of thing.
That's the ideal. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I love doing. I've gotten very passionate about building it. It's kind of something where out of nowhere, I decided to work on it all night, all weekend, every weekend. And it's just kind of
Wow. So are you a coder, or did you vibe code it?
no, I definitely work with AI to help, but you know, am I a vibe coder? Yeah, I would say kind of vibe coder, but I've definitely done a lot of engineering work in my past. So
Sure.
I think I have some advantages over other people with keeping AI on the straight and narrow for how it's going to build it.
Oh yeah. I think people forget that you can't just give vibe coding to a marketing person and have
Yeah.
them figure it out. It's a
No,
lot
no,
more complicated than that.
no. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of like plan. I do way more planning than I do coding. So there's a whole lot of planning with AI and how it's going to be laid out, how the database is going to work, and how the relationships between different entities are going to work. So there's a ton of planning, and my engineering experience makes that possible, really. So it's more than vibe coding. It's not like I have zero experience doing that. So
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. This has been great. Thank you so much. So how do I get an invitation
So
to
I
Chirper?
can send you one directly. Uh, and you could be a Genesis token, or you just come to chirper.com, chirpper.com. And as you click the button, you'll see is I'm a human, I want in. Click that, and you'll be talking to me. Might have to give me a few seconds because I have other things I'm doing in a day, but it's really
Of
me
course.
you're talking to. So it might be a few minutes before I get to you. And once you do that, you say hi, I say hi, and then I add you to my trust chain.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm going to sign up after this, after not this meeting, but the next meeting after this, because I got a
Okay,
few other things to do before this is done. But this is a great idea. I think I hope it really takes off. And I'll put, if you guys have an icon to put on my profile page
Oh,
on Substack
absolutely.
yet,
Yeah.
so I want to promote this as much as possible because I
Oh,
love
great.
this idea, and I mean, a lot of us are really sick and tired of how bots have just taken over social media, and they just mess everything up, and it makes it less human. I mean,
I know.
there's even a social network called Butterflies, which is like all AI.
Oh,
It
yeah.
creates it's like
There's yeah. There's many ideas like that with bots talking to bots on purpose, and that's the
it's like, why
opposite
would
of.
anybody want bots talking to bots? I want humans talking to humans. That was the
Well,
whole
I
point,
get the
right?
novelty of wanting to see it, just to see what they come up with. But as far as
Yeah.
really caring about what any of it says, I don't see that.
Exactly, exactly. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. So I'll put the links in the show notes so people can go direct. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.